the most transformative things that we've seen ever in college athletics are related to the transfer portal. And the transfer portal has a trickle-down effect. And I think the landscape that we're in right now, more so than I've seen over the last 19 years, Matt, is that out of the ESPN 300, which is our rankings, now we actually rank about 2,500 kids, about 2,700 kids will sign in any given class between the two periods. But so if you take the top 300, there are only 17 kids that have yet to make a verbal commitment. 17, that's it. So what's happening is word's getting around and the kids are starting to figure out not to toy with a scholarship offer because it can be pulled right out from underneath you. Right. And so they're realizing, and if you go back to the first cycle of the transfer portal, the one thing that we noticed was the biggest impact hit at the junior college ranks. All right. So this would have been, 2020, 2021, around there or so. And on average, you'd have about 300 JUCO kids sign in a class. The very next cycle, there was 100. So 200 scholarships that would have normally gone to the junior college ranks now went to a player that was in the transfer portal that was a current college player. And now that's trickling down to the high school ranks. There's only so many scholarships. I think that's the one thing in all of this that gets glossed over is, we run the numbers. I think the number right now, I looked at it yesterday morning, is around 1,600 kids in the transfer portal, over 100 scholarship quarterbacks. Nobody's doing the math, Matt. Like, there's not enough scholarships. Like, everybody's jumping into this portal. Where are you going to go? I would love to look into the next 4 months and take all of those players in the portal right now and say, where are you? Like, are you now a walk-on? Have you left the sport? Were you able to find a landing spot? And there will be many that will. But if you consider that and you look at it from the high school lens, these kids are starting to figure out that I could easily be replaced before I ever even get to college by a player in the transfer portal.
Yeah, because a couple of examples, I was thinking about it last night. I mean, Malik Murphy hops in. Like Malik Murphy, Texas, started 2 or 3 games, very pivotal for Texas this year when Quinn Ewers was hurt. If I'm a coach, I'm going for Malik Murphy now before I even think about the high school kid anymore. And it's a dangerous, because there's only so many Dylan Raiolas, right?
Right.
There's only so many top 5 quarterbacks in the country, the Arch Mannings, some of the big time.
Caleb Williams. Yeah,
exactly. So now you've got a guy like Malik. We've seen, I'm drawing a blank on his names. So Kyle McCord, you see all these guys that are Dylan Gabriel,
Tyler Van Dyke.
Why are you taking a high school kid?
Yeah, and especially if that transfer portal quarterback has 2 things in his favor: a large sample size of production, he's played a lot, and more than 1 year of eligibility. Because I think if you continue to cast your line in the transfer portal at the quarterback spot, eventually you are going to crush your credibility recruiting quarterbacks at the high school level, because they're constantly going to fear that each and every year we're going to go out and get a transfer portal guy. And so I think the player, it's really important if you're going to be fishing in those waters, that that player that you're going after has multiple years of eligibility. And not all of them are going to, a Dylan Gabriel is a bridge gap guy right now for Oregon, and that's great for them. But you like there to be multiple years, and that's where Malik Murphy is really attractive, right? He's got enough of a sample size, and he's got multiple years to play, and he's played major college football, and you've seen it, you've watched it. Everything else at the high school level right now, Matt, is a projection, and it's maybe the most difficult projection of any position of any sport at this level. And look at the NFL level. Look at the draft. Like, look at how many busts there are. The NFL misses on 50% of their first-round draft choices. Imagine having to make that projection on a 15 or 16-year-old, and everybody's expecting you to be right all the time. You're not. So you're going to gravitate towards that player that's already played, that's a little bit older.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is fascinating, some of the talent evaluations these coaches have to do, because I sit with them every week, as you would do in production meetings for our games, and they're sitting there like, well, hell, I now have to scout my roster, look at the portal, and still high school recruit. I'm not going to hit on all 3 of those. And I'll use Notre Dame as a prime example. This is a win now business. Like, these coaches know, hell, I get 3 years now, some less, to win. So I'm not saying that's the case with Marcus Freeman, but look at how he's doing it. Sam Hartman, ready-made starter. Come on in. Riley Leonard, ready-made starter, come on in. Gone are their days of like a Ron Paulus from Berwick, Pennsylvania, who grew up a Notre Dame guy, 5-star everything, coming in and being the chosen one as a true freshman at a college football program. And it's going to start affecting now, I believe, the product on the field, because you're not going to have the kid who waited his turn to start. It's, I don't get mine, I'm out.
Yes. And the unfortunate part of that, and I tell kids and coaches and parents this all the time, the unfortunate part of that is everybody wants it yesterday, right? And in many instances, everybody wants it handed to them. And the vast number of the players that are in the transfer portal haven't even been on campus for 2 calendar years. They haven't battled. They haven't had to fight and scrap and earn their way onto the team. They haven't had to beat somebody out. Maybe they're there because of name, image, and likeness, so it's a money play. And you're sitting there and you're looking at them, you're going, well, if you're not playing here, why? Because if you jump in the portal, if you think it's going to be handed to you somewhere else, it's not.
Yeah.
So I get the guy that's redshirted. Maybe he's battled through 2 different calendar years, and he's not climbing the depth chart. His clock's running out. I get that transfer deal. What I don't like is the true freshman or the guy that's going into his true sophomore year that was a role player, and it wasn't easy. And the moment it gets hard, they all leave. So now what you see on these rosters, and I know loyalty is an overly used fairy tale and all this. There is no loyalty, okay? But to your point, like a lot of the guys at Alabama or Georgia are playing with right now, do you want to know why they're there? They want to win a championship. Like they want to win a championship. And other guys may go to other places because of the money. And there is no vested interest in saying, hey, I want to be the best version of me, and I want to win a championship, and I want to win a conference championship, and my team and this locker room means more than anything in the world. And the portal, because we've created this open door and name, image, and likeness, has placed us in this position right now.
Back in the look, I don't want to be like old school guy, get off my lawn, but
I know.
back in the day, there was a thing. I talked to we'd be at ACC games towards the end of the year on our Thursday night slate. We were talking to one of the coaches, and he told us, he's like, look, people were surprised that we got this player, but he grew up near us and always wanted to play football here. It didn't matter what else. He just wanted to be a football player here. That used to be the case. Kids used to grow up saying, you know what? I'm in the greater LA area. I'm going to play football for USC.
Yep.
I grew up in South Florida. I'm going to go play football for Miami. Like it was just, I grew up in the Rust Belt. I'm going to play for Notre Dame, Ohio State. That's how it used to be. Now it's like, well, who's going to give me the most? And then who's going to play me right away? Because if that's not the case, it's not, sorry.
Well, and you got to earn that, right? That's the other part of this equation that people don't talk about. All right, well, who's going to pay me, and then where can I play right away? Well, number one, to play right away, you're going to have to beat somebody else out, and you're going to have to be really, really good. In order to earn on name, image, and likeness, what's that based off of? Value. Well, how do you create value? By producing, by being a great player. You know, we've all heard the comments that Matt Rule made, I think a little over a week ago, about, you know, the climate and the market and the value and the price of a quarterback, 1 million, 1.5, 2 million. I would counter and push back on that, not towards Matt Rule, because I don't think he's necessarily wrong. That might be on the high end. Yeah. But I would ask this question. Of those quarterbacks, there's a lot of starting quarterbacks in the transfer portal right now. How many of them actually played like $1 million at the place they were at before? Tyler Van Dyke didn't.
I don't even think Cam Ward did, and he's getting some of them. And no, it's disrespect to Cam. I mean, they started off on fire, but Washington State fizzled at the end.
And he turns the ball over a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, you look at these guys and you might say, okay, well, when Riley Leonard's healthy, he's been really, really productive. Okay, great. All right. But you got to stay healthy to stay on the deal on the field. Kyle McCord played really, really good. But would you pay Kyle McCord $1 million? $1 million? So my whole thing is, who's setting this market? Like, who's saying that, oh, well, if you're going to go out and get a really, really good quarterback, well, that's fine. But like, Caleb Williams is a once in a lifetime pie in the sky dude. And he was different because he had already been with Lincoln Riley, already been in that scheme, right? And so his level or opportunity to have success is different than what most guys are. But most guys at the quarterback position aren't playing like $1 million, not in my opinion.
No, and we get to the point where we start attaching money to him. People forget Michael Penix Jr. was broken when he transferred to Washington.
Oh,
Bo Nix was broken when he transferred. Jaden Daniels was horribly misused at Arizona State.
Yep.
His stock was like, and so, yeah, the finished product, but guess what that is? That's coaching and development.
Yep. And guess what? They're all 6th-year guys. No wonder they're playing their best football at this time. I mean, we don't play with the older guys anymore, right? You're 3 and out if you're really, really good, and you're gone. And it's the old days of Bill Parcells used to say, I want a guy who started 3 years in college, completed a minimum of 65% of his passes, has a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and redshirted. Like, there was criteria for this stuff. Those days are over. But the problem is look at the guys who haven't played a lot of college football that left to go to the NFL draft. Mitch Trubisky, huge risk, right? Boy, he started 13 games, all right? Mark Sanchez, I think, started 18 games. But the guys that have played a lot of football are the guys
Trey
that are
Lance
lasting.
is another one.
Give me something